My name is Brian Gruber. I will be discussing why Griswold, Roe, and Casey were all correctly decided. Because they expanded the right of privacy for individuals as a fundamental right protected by the Constitution, and not necessarily because of the right for abortion. In 1995, I told my pregnant girlfriend that even though I did not personally agree with abortion, in this instance, I respected her right to choose whether or not to have an abortion. And if she chose to keep the child, that I would marry her and we could raise our child together. Retrospectively, I never appreciated the constitutional rights surrounding that conversation, but I am thankful that our rights to privacy were protected and that the conversation could be had. First, in Griswold, I concur with the judgment of the court that the Constitution did protect the right of marital privacy against state restrictions on contraception. But I do not agree with the majority under the penumbral theory. I felt like the penumbral theory was a bit contrived on how it tries to create the right from privacy from the First, Third, Fourth, and Fifth Amendments. I agreed with Justice Goldberg's opinion, and also the Chief Justice and Chief Brennan, that the right to privacy comes out of the Ninth Amendment of the Constitution. The framers of the Constitution recognized that there were other fundamental rights not listed within the Constitution, and those rights, such as the right to privacy, should be protected from government infringement. Justice Goldberg stated in his concurrence that the Ninth Amendment shows a belief of the Constitution's authors that the fundamental rights exist that are not expressly enumerated in the first 8 amendments, and an intent that the list of rights include there not be deemed exhaustive. I recognize this is an unpopular position, and that was expressed in one of the videos. I also recognize that Justice Harlan's due process clause of the 14th Amendment stands on its own bottom regarding the future rulings in Roe and Casey. But I did like the rationale used by Justice Goldberg in that case for Griswold. And that's why I concur with it, and I do understand the use of the 14th. Second, I agree with the opinion of the court in Roe, where it held that a woman's right to an abortion fell within the right to privacy established under Griswold, and that it was protected under the 14th Amendment. The court used strict scrutiny to determine whether a woman has a right to terminate her pregnancy by an abortion under the Constitution, and whether the privacy rights of the mother were balanced against the state's interest in protecting the fetus. The rights of a fetus, the potential viability of the fetus, personhood, and of course life outside the womb were carefully parsed out in the opinion by Justice Blackmun. Ultimately, the right to privacy was expanded to include a woman's right to choose an abortion in Roe, and for that reason I do agree with the ruling. Finally, I agree with Casey because the court upheld Roe in that instance, and they used an undue burden test to balance the interest of the state against a woman's right to choose an abortion without disturbing the central holding in Roe. The court also adopted the viability of a fetus instead of the first trimester approach in Roe, which I thought was a brilliant foresight because technology might advance what the viability of a fetus actually is. The court also found most of the regulations in the Pennsylvania statute did not create an undue burden on the woman seeking an abortion, but they did find that the requirement that women inform their husbands before an abortion and that provision was unconstitutional. Casey more clearly defines abortion but upholds the right to privacy. It is for these reasons that Griswold, Roe, and Casey were all correctly decided and established the right to privacy and the right to choose whether or not to have an abortion. If you're wondering what happened from the decision referenced above between my girlfriend at the time and myself, I'm happy to report my son turned 23 this past June. Thank you.